I mean, I hear a lot of talk about maybe India is the next China in terms of investment here, the next great opportunity. What's your reaction to that thought?
Well, David, I guess this is a legacy of the fact that I've covered India now for nearly 3 decades. And my consistent observation about India has been that this is a country that has consistently disappointed the optimists and the pessimists. So this is not the first time that I've heard India being the next China. India will be India, which is that it's a complicated story. There are many nuances out here, and there will possibly never be a next China, just because what China achieved over its 4-decade-long economic expansion, where it grew at a pace of nearly 10%, I think is something which we have never seen in history, and we're unlikely to see ever again, because an extraordinary set of circumstances and leaders brought China to the position it is. And as you know, that China has been reversing many of its policies over the last few years. So as far as India is concerned, I think that it offers many great prospects, but to project China on it is a story I've seen in the past. And unfortunately, I feel that people who think that are likely to be a bit disappointed.
Ruchir, as you so wisely suggest, you really can't compare any two countries. At the same time, is there one parallel? Part of the reason for the amazing economic progress of China is they started from a very low base. And you actually caused me to go back and look at per capita GDP for India, and it's something like $2,500 a year, as opposed to China, which is like 5 times that much. Does that offer actually an opportunity? Because there's a lot of headroom there. You can grow an awful lot.
Yes. So I think that India, in terms of, because of its low base, will remain one of the fastest growing economies in the world. It's been so over the last 3 or 4 decades, just that its success has been overshadowed by what China has been able to achieve. But if you look at India's growth, it has consistently grown at a pace of about 2.5 to 3 percentage points faster than the global economy. That's been the link. China's growth rate during the similar income levels was far greater than the average of the global economy. India's average has been about 2.5 to 3 percentage points faster than the global economy. It's consistently been that. And there's nothing to suggest that that's about to change. So if you expect the global economy to grow at about 2.5%, which is what I expect it to for the foreseeable future, then I think that India's growth rate is likely to be 5.5% or so. Anything more than that to expect out of India is far too ambitious and something we have never seen in its post-reform history, which began in 1991.
Ruchir, could the role of the government actually modify that? Because it's long been perceived that in India, the government has had a very active role, can I put it that way, in the economy, and it's not really backed off. Is there a potential for the Modi government really to back off a little bit and to let it go? You wrote a fascinating piece in the Financial Times last summer, actually, on the 75th anniversary, saying the problem with India is it got to political freedom before it got to economic freedom. Are we moving toward economic freedom?
But even there, I think that, as is the case with most things in India, the story is a bit more nuanced. So at one level, the Modi government has been doing the right things, which is cutting taxes, following a pretty responsible fiscal and monetary policy mix, and it desisted from doing too much stimulus. The problem is that we still haven't seen private investment or manufacturing really pick up in a meaningful way. As you know, the key to success of China and other East Asian countries was you got a manufacturing boom, and really exporting your way to prosperity is the only path to achieving very rapid income. The issue in India, and I think that this goes back even to the current government, is that the government is far too involved in people's lives. And one of the issues with the Modi government, I think, is that the regulatory overreach remains a lot, which is that a lot of business people in India remain in this fear that whether it's the tax authorities, whether it's the investigation people, that somebody's going to always come knocking on your door. And often it is for vindictive reasons or extortion reasons. That culture is still very pervasive in India. And in fact, it may have even been aggravated in the last few years, that this perception was created that a lot of Indian businesses are crooks and they need to be reined in. And some of it is just personal political vendetta. So I think that that is one of the big issues in India, which is that the government, on one hand, is trying to encourage more private investment, trying to come up with more schemes, more incentive schemes. to help with that. Schemes is what they call it. I know it has a different connotation here, but also cutting taxes and being responsible from a fiscal side. But on the other hand is this climate of fear created by the regulatory overreach, which I think is holding back some of the investment and also ends up being quite intimidating to even foreign investors.
When we talk about investment in India right now, given what's going on in the news, we think about the Adani companies. And I don't know what's going on. I suspect you don't know what's going on. So this is not about the merits of exactly what the claims are about the Adani companies. But does it raise questions in Western investors' minds with respect to India about how predictable and reliable the system is to make large investments?
Yeah, so this has been a problem with emerging markets, as you know, in general. But having said that, as far as India is concerned, just going back to my original statement that everything you say about India, the exact opposite is also true. So yeah, India's had a series of such issues in the past as well. But what I'll highlight about India is this, that when I look at the investment universe, the highest number of really high quality companies is also to be found in India. How do I define high quality? You look at return on equity, look at the consistent earnings growth, or just the sheer number of stocks in India that have gone up 4 or 5 times in dollar terms over the last decade is possibly the highest, at least as a ratio of the overall market, is the highest of any country I know in the world. So yeah, we keep getting these kind of issues that come to the fore, but the other side of the equation is that some of the highest quality companies in the world, including the US for that matter, at least as a ratio of the overall total, you get some of the highest quality companies in India. Now, the problem is that they're also valued that way. If you look at the 100 largest companies in India, about a third of them trade at a price to earnings multiple of nearly 40. So that is a staggering number. I think that is really what the fundamental issue today in India is, that it got a bit overhyped. It is the most expensive market in the world if you look at traditional valuation metrics. And I think that we're seeing a bit of disappointment, a bit of that bloom come off the rose because of these very high expectations and this hype about India being the next China being reflected in the prices in the market.